So Trump, having seized control of our military, is now using it to just kill people in international waters without
A boat,
any evidence, proof,
a drug-carrying boat.
sentencing, no information on who was actually murdered, just
A lot of drugs in that boat.
terrorism, breaking every law in the books, tossing aside any semblance of the rules-based order as if backing a Palestine genocide wasn't enough. Now, once you've shredded law and order, you just invite the same in return. If there's no rules, it's just a free-for-all with whoever's got the most guns wins. There is a science called game theory, which studies the outcomes of strategies in competitive scenarios. In war, evolutionary biology, robotics, this path of scorched earth, ever-escalating aggression always leads to mutually assured destruction. In every scenario. It's moronic, it's ineffective, and everybody who greenlights it is complicit in war crimes. Now, what about the supposed point? Blocking fentanyl or narcotics trafficking. Well, Venezuela doesn't actually make much fentanyl, according to our own DEA, and the vast cocaine shipments that are coming in come through the Pacific, mostly Colombia and Ecuador. Now, even if you could bomb all the boats in the sea, and I'm sure he would love to do that, it wouldn't actually reduce demand, which is the real problem. And that call is coming from inside the house. The United States, the largest illegal drug market on the planet. And that's who's financing this whole international operation. And let's be honest, if you lived here, you'd do drugs too. Have you seen the neighbors or who they elected as our leaders, which in our case is Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, who are saying Venezuela's president is a cartel boss since drugs do get trafficked through their country and have issued a most wanted award. But by that logic, since all the users are actually here, that makes Trump a crack house slumlord who should definitely be arrested by ICE and deported to a country he's never been to, since he's a convicted felon and he's married to an immigrant who was for a long time, it appears, undocumented. Before you say, oh, that's just a funny joke, no, that happens in countries that follow the rule of law. The former president of the Philippines is currently in custody at The Hague for ordering the execution of alleged drug traffickers without due process. So how is the Trump administration able to do this kind of thing? Nobody stops him. Oh, because our government has never operated by any rule of law. We've allowed every U.S. president to do that back to the beginning. 2021, Joe Biden sent a drone to murder an aid worker in a city in Afghanistan because he got confused and mistook the man for a terrorist and instead killed 10 civilians, 7 children. That was just one of hundreds in his presidency. Obama, hope and change, sent a drone to assassinate an American citizen in Yemen with no trial and then killed his 16-year-old son the next week. No trial for him either, or Obama. So he went on to authorize 563 drone strikes during his presidency that killed hundreds and hundreds of civilians. Some estimate it could be over 800 people. Bush Jr., he launched a whole war, an illegal invasion into Iraq, and he's responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths, maimings, and permanent injuries, and no consequences for him. Clinton bombed a pharmaceutical factory, and it just goes on, all the way back to James Madison, the human trafficker who invaded Spanish Florida and British Canada to expand his slave territory, only to get the White House burned down. That's why the real author of the U.S. Constitution's final draft said that the document was a failure, specifically for failing to restrain the slave lords' expansionist dreams. And he suggested secession and the creation of a New York, New England Confederation, free from the total insanity of people like James Madison, the founding father that he called a drunken idiot. True story. So this gets to happen not because it's normal or necessary, but just because it's always happened. No political party will ever stop the sociopathic, murderous war machine because they are funded by it. So that's who they work for. It's who pays for their campaigns. It's who the political machine rewards with contracts, a $1 trillion defense budget for the Pentagon, which has failed 7 straight department-wide audits over and over since auditing began. The same ecosystem bankrolls our cultural narrative. The Department of Defense supports 100 entertainment projects a year. They pay pro sports teams tens of millions of dollars for on-field patriotic displays. Think tanks that supply TV experts that took in $1 billion from defense contractors. They even fund video games. $32 million just on one. All to make sure that we remain in forever wars with forever enemies, ensuring one day that this all goes bye-bye. A little blue world that actually has more than enough for everyone, more food, more houses, more land and real estate, and more fulfilling and important work to do than we can possibly imagine. But you'd never know unless we start telling people.